Hi there, Eve.
So thanks for joining today, and we have some questions about the upcoming training, 2-day advanced training um, that you'll be doing October 22nd and 23rd in Berlin, Massachusetts. So tell us a little bit about the title, intention versus goal. What, how did you come to that? What do you mean by that?
Well, one of the things that I had heard from the very beginning in my training, lo, those many years ago, and throughout the years is, oh, we don't have a goal in FI. We don't have a goal. And I think that that is said because we don't want to be locked into this is what has to happen. And then we force the person into whatever we think is supposed to happen, whether it's, regaining mobility in a certain way or doing something. And we don't want to do that. But if I want to get up from a chair, that's a goal, right? And I tend to be a very goal-oriented person, and anybody who finishes a 4-year Feldenkrais training program has to be goal-oriented.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to, in one case, sort of soften how we think of that word and not lose the benefits of having an intention, because that is not usually talked about in FI very much. It's talked about very much in terms of what is one's personal intention or attention in doing awareness for movement, but not in, I'm sitting down, I'm going to give a person a functional integration lesson. What is my intention? And how that can be differentiated from this hard box of a goal.
Mm.
Because I think we've thrown the intention out with the baby bathwater of the goal. And I think it's important to have a direction.
Great. So how does that play out when you approach functional integration? Can you give us some examples?
Well, somebody comes in and they'll usually have a very clear goal, which they will identify as a goal. Elsewise, why would they be coming to you, right? So first you have to figure out, is their goal something that is feasible? If somebody's, I want to learn how to fly, you're not going to be able to help that person very much. But I would like to be able to jump and skip a rope. Yeah, that's feasible. And then you have to decide how long it might take to get to that point. So that can be a goal. But you may find that in order for you to be able to help this person learn how to jump or skip, they need to learn how to use themselves in a very different way. They don't understand about letting agonist and antagonistic muscle groups work in a concerted fashion. So one lets go and one, so there's the flexibility and all those things. So your intention might be to help this person skip rope, and then you have to break it down into what are feasible chunks of that. And then you start to work with a person and you discover they don't really know how to allow their belly to let go. But you're still thinking about, you want to help them skip rope, but you can't get lost in the weeds of just doing, months of breathing lessons to soften the belly or months of ribs lessons. You have to keep the idea that this is where we're going, which is different than somebody who says, I want to learn to put my bra on more easily.
Mhm.
Now, the lessons might look to an outsider very similar, but if your intention is about doing this kind of movement versus this kind of movement, you're going to have a different emphasis in your touch, in your hands.
Mm. Cool. And how are you thinking of the format of the workshop and how you'll disseminate this information over the 2 days?
Well, it's going to be fairly heavy in functional integration over the 2 days, although I will incorporate some awareness for movement because otherwise there will be a revolt, I am sure, amongst everybody who just wants to lie on the floor for a moment. The 2 days will be a little different. I think in one of the days, we will take some type of FI. I don't know what yet. We'll have to see who's there and what's coming for us. Some type of FI, say for instance, a side-lying, side-bending FI, and how to apply that particular model of a functional integration lesson, answering the particular goal of each person. And the
Mm,
goal is not to learn how to side bend more easily. Nobody comes in and says, I want to learn how to side bend more easily. I mean, in 30 years, I've never had anybody come in and say, oh, I just realized I can't side bend. No, they want to do something. But if the side bending is related to, oh, they need to learn to do this if they want to be able to skip rope and lift one leg and the other, or they need to be able to side bend if they want to be able to balance on their horse more better, or they need to be able to side bend because they're not opening up the ribs over here so they can lift their arm. So one lesson can serve many purposes. So we'll take one model of a lesson and we'll apply it to many different things. And then on the other day, we will take each person, each pair, because you'll be working in groups of two, finding out a specific goal of the person on the table and figuring out how to go in that direction, honoring whatever it is you feel with your hands that you know that you need to do first. So we'll be talking a lot about how do you break a movement down into little pieces. When are you straying too far off the path and starting to go in a completely different direction versus when are you taking a detour you need to take in order to get back on this path that you're going on.
mhm.
And I'm thinking that maybe it will be interesting to have somebody who is, maybe they've had some lessons before, but not a practitioner, come in and I will give them a lesson and do sort of a open brain pan stream of consciousness talking while I'm giving the lesson. So
Beautiful.
you get an example of at least my way of doing an FI. It's my way, not anybody else's.
Right. Yeah, that sounds great. And who do you imagine being at the workshop in terms of the region and beyond?
Well, I really don't, anybody who wants to improve.
Mhm,
Really, it's a workshop I'd go to because, it's like, well, where am I stuck in my thinking? You
mhm,
know, that whole thing that Alison Rapp always used to talk about, the white places on the map. In the olden days when they didn't know what the globe looked like, they would draw a map and then they leave this white area where they didn't know their dragons live or something, right? And we don't know our own white areas. We don't know our own blind spots. So any kind of person who just wants to discover a little bit more about how they think and where they might be blocking themselves. So anybody from a new practitioner to somebody who just wants to get together with other practitioners and practice.
yeah,
And I don't like any kind of hierarchy in my trainings. So I usually will just kind of tell people, you're going to practice with that person, you know, something like that.
great. Sounds great. Anything else you want to share about it?
Well, I'm very excited to do an advanced training up in New England, my new geography up here. I've been in Baltimore for, well, since 1980. I started practicing there in 92. So this is brand new for me. I'm in a brand new place as a teacher and new students, new practitioners all around me.
Mm,
And I just want to thank Eve for being interested in doing this. And I do want to say that Berlin is not that far from Boston.
right. Yeah.
I don't really know where it is, but it's someplace that, for those of you who might be watching this that are coming from outside of the Boston area,
Yeah.
it's Boston-ish.
Yeah.
So you could take the train to Boston and then get out
There
somehow.
There are
Berlin.
definitely places in Boston that will take just as long to get to than getting out to Berlin. So
Yeah.
I think it's a happy middle ground.
Yeah. So I can't think of anything else.
Okay, well, thank you.
Oh, I do think, yes, if anybody has any questions, like, would this be an appropriate workshop for me? Please just get in touch with Eve or myself. I'm fine with getting an email from people.
Yeah, great. Okay,
All right. Thank you very much, Eve.
I'll wrap that up.